Hey there and welcome back. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you this video is very similar to the one I just put out last week. This is what that video was supposed to be. I did change it up a little bit. A buddy of mine saw the Ravens board and really liked it, but he's more into hockey. Huge Caps fan. So I'm going to end up giving this to him as a gift. Let's just jump right into it. Okay, we're going to do this in kind of a weird order. I've got this hunk of walnut here. This is actually going to be the union of the flag. I'm going to start working and cutting this into strips, turning them on their end, and gluing them back together to complete the union. Let's get cutting. I cut these at just over 2 1/4. That will determine the thickness of the cutting board. I hope by the time all is said and done, it'll be about 2 inches thick, give or take. All right, I'm gonna get this glued up. In typical fashion, this is way too much glue. Someone commented on one of my videos that my glue budget must be outrageous. It is. After you have a couple glue joints fail on you though, you tend to go overboard, at least I do. All right, I'm over here at the planer. I've got 2 hard maple boards here. I'm gonna do a quick skip planing. I don't need them flat per se, I just need them smooth so I can cut them into strips and glue them together. All right, now that I've got these boards planed and jointed, I'm going to cut them into strips about 2 1/2 inches wide. Well, here I am using way too much glue again. That's so unlike me. I'm gonna get this thing out of the clamps, run it through the drum sander, and joint one edge so it's nice and smooth. All right, while the other components are curing, I'm gonna go ahead and get this flat. This will just take a couple minutes. I'm looking at this wood and I can't help but think of my wife for some reason. Some things just can't be explained, I guess. Now I'm going to start carving the inlay. I think I'm going to end up doing 2 different inlays, but we're going to see how this one goes first. I've got some maple here left over from another project. I've cut it into strips and turned it on its end. This will be used for the first of 2 inlays. All right, we'll let that cure while I'm at work. We'll get back to it. All right, here's my maple out of the clamps. I went ahead and flattened it. Now we're ready to start carving. Let's get this going. This is going to take a long time. All right, so here's the male piece. It's looking awesome. I did a quick test fit and it does fit. That's a relief. Now I'm going to go ahead and get this glued in. Off camera, I went ahead and milled up a bunch of walnut and got it glued up just like I did the maple. Now I'm going to focus my attention over here on the CNC. Inlay's been in there for a good 24 hours now. I'm going to plane all of this off. We'll see how we did. All right, now we're going to start inlay number 2. If you're at all familiar with the Capitals logo, there are accents on the wings, which will be inlaid with this purple heart I've already got made. So let's start carving the pocket for those now. Alright, so I've got my walnut and my maple out of the clamps. I got them surfaced and ready to go. They're now ready to be cut into strips. My table saw blade is getting a bit dull and it's not going to like this at all. Alright, so I finally got all my strips ready to be glued up. I did send them through the drum sander just to get rid of the saw marks. I want a nice tight glue up here. While the glue is curing on that, I'm going to focus my attention to the second inlay. So I got this purple heart here. We're going to start making the male portion. Alright, at this point we're ready to glue in inlay number 2.
That really hurt! I'm gonna have a lump there, you idiot!
Alright, now we're ready to start cutting and turning the pieces on their end. This will be the part that goes next to the union. Now I'm ready to glue up the first section here. This will be to the right of the union. Obviously alignment is very important here, so I made these cawls up real quick. Alright, now we're going to glue up this section. This will be the bottom. Goes the entire length of the cutting board. It'll be the exact same as the last glue up, only a little more challenging due to its extra length. Alright, it's been about 2 days, and now it's time to plane off this purple heart and check the inlays. Hopefully they look good and we can move on to assembly. Let's get this going. Well, my friends, this piece is ruined. This will need to be remade, unfortunately.
And I hate it, and it's annoying!
My guess is that perhaps the inlay was not properly seated, And when I forced this second inlay in there, I don't know exactly what happened, but it pushed down a lot further than it should have in 2 spots. I'm not too upset though.
You sit on a throne of lies.
I'm actually going to change up the design a little bit, so we'll see how this goes. All right, gang, we are back in business. It's taken me several days to get to this point. My thumb still hurts. Now I'm going to drill some holes for dowels, mainly for alignment purposes. I need this to be just right so I don't have to take off too much material squaring everything up. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Okay, just give that an hour or so. We'll move on to the next step. All right, I've got the top half out of the clamps. Now we join these 2 pieces, at which point I can finally trim off the excess, get everything cleaned up, start sanding, and this baby's done. So now I'm gonna mark the location for the dowels.
a.m.
All right, once I get this free, I'm gonna run the bottom here across the jointer, square everything up. That looks pretty sweet. All right, now I'm gonna get it over to the drum sander. We'll get a peek of how it's gonna look. All right, I've got this back on the CNC. We're gonna do a juice groove here on the back side. That way you can have the show side and do all the cutting on the back. So let's get this going. Now I'm just going to round over these 4 corners. I'm not going to round over the edges with the router, at least. I will do that with the sander when I get there. That looks pretty sweet. I'm digging it. Now I'm going to start sanding. If anyone tells you they like sanding, they're lying.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
They're absolutely lying, especially end grain boards. It takes forever. So I'm going to get that going. I'm going to start with 80 grit and go up to 320. Back over here at the CNC, I'm going to use this rotary attachment to do something a little special on the dowel that will connect the 2 end pieces for the cutting board stand.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Be good just to hold them down by your side. Yeah, great.
If that doesn't make any sense, you'll see it in a few moments. At this point, we are joined by the lovely and talented CEO of KWS Woodworks, aka my wife. She finds it rather cathartic to oil the boards when everything's done. I'm thinking about making it a prerequisite where if you want to oil the boards, you have to do all the sanding. I'll let you know how that works out. I think we can probably guess though.